Nigel was working well. He grasped everything he had to do and did it without any fuss. The coaches and trucks were very well behaved, as after being shunted, they knew never to try any tricks. But the same couldn't be said for the three big engines. After Gordon had witnessed Nigel's mishap, his opinion of him quickly changed. He no longer saw him as a fellow LNER engine, but instead as a bumbling little tank engine he could order about. He did so, and it wasn't long until James and Henry followed suit. They thought they could get away with it. "He seems a simple sort of engine," smirked James one day. "Where have I heard that before?" grumbled Duck. "It's indisputable," scoffed Gordon. "A shunter is designed to shunt, and that's exactly what he's employed to do." "Yes, but he's not here for your beck and call." "Well, that's a matter of opinion," sniggered Henry. Duck let off steam loudly. "Nonsense," he hissed fiercely. "You're all just lazy and conniving. Nigel is no pushover, you'll see." The three engines laughed. "What can a little tank engine do to us?" Duck was right. Nigel could hold his own easily, but what he couldn't stand were bad manners. "I'll teach those silly big engines who they're dealing with," he puffed firmly. "I'm not their skivvy." Nigel thought of how he could pay them out. The next day, the perfect opportunity arose. Nigel was simmering in the yards, waiting to fetch James's coaches. The yard foreman walked up to the cab. "Right there, lads," he called. "No more than 6 coaches for number 5, otherwise he won't get up Gordon's Hill." Nigel chuckled to himself. "Right away, sir." Nigel buffered up to the coaches, but instead of detaching the lead coach, he left it, making up a 7-coach train. He quickly pushed the coaches out of the yards before anyone noticed. He reached the station in good time. James was already there. Hurry up, he shouted. "A splendid red engine like me shouldn't be kept waiting." "Well, maybe next time you should collect your own coaches then," retorted Nigel, "since you've obviously got plenty of time to hang about." Before James could reply, the guard blew his whistle, and he puffed importantly away. Now James is a good runner. On the flat he can pull quite a lengthy train, but James is a poor climber. 6 coaches is his limit on a steep gradient like Gordon's Hill. All went well, until they began to attack the climb. I can do it, he panted with determination. But suddenly, the train began to pull against him. The weight made him slip. "Oh no, not again," he cried. The driver tried to control the slip, but it was too late. His momentum had slowed, and James stalled halfway up the hill, hissing steam loudly. Thankfully, James didn't roll back down. "What happened?" sighed the fireman. The guard walked up to the cab. "We've been given 7 coaches, not 6, he explained. "The 7th coach upsets the balance. It's holding us back." "Well, I suppose that's our fault. We didn't check," said the driver. "I know whose fault it really is," muttered James crossly to himself. The guard phoned for assistance, but there was trouble. The banker was busy elsewhere. James was forced to retreat back to Edward Station and had to split his train. "Oh, this is so embarrassing," he moaned. I'll never live this down. With permission granted, James set off with the front 3 coaches. The passengers in the rear coaches were very cross at having to be left behind. James made it over the hill easily this time. He left the coaches at Marin Station, then quickly reversed back over the hill to collect the last portion of his train. He hoped he'd get there before anyone saw him, but he was too late. As he approached the station, Henry caught up with him. Laughed Henry. Looks like Nigel got to you then. James went as red as his paintwork. Henry laughed all the way to Knapford Station. He'd forgotten that Nigel would be lying in wait for him too. And indeed he was. Nigel had prepared Henry's other train in platform 5, ready to board. Henry was to arrive into platform 3. He would have to rely on Nigel taking away his empty coaches and freeing him from the platform, as there were no points to run round. Henry came to a gentle stop on time. The passengers disembarked, and Henry waited patiently for Nigel. But Nigel never came. Henry whistled crossly. "Where is he?" he exclaimed. "I need to leave and turn round." A porter found Nigel standing innocently next to the water tower. "I'm sorry, sir. I've got to take on water," he puffed sweetly. "Sort of comes naturally to a steam engine, you know." When Nigel finally collected the coaches, Henry was late and very cross. Once freed, he darted quickly away to the turntable, and moments later, back down onto his train. This short delay had amounted to a 20-minute late departure, from which poor Henry was getting the blame from the irritated passengers. Henry was seething. He had a lot of time to make up. Nigel just smiled. A few minutes later, Nigel brought Gordon's coaches into the station. He made way for Gordon, who carefully buffered up. "Now I'm going to make this perfectly clear," grunted Gordon. "I want a swift and smooth departure. No funny business, is that understood?" "Perfectly," grinned Nigel darkly. Nigel took his position at the rear of the train, ready to help push the express on its way. The passengers quickly boarded, and soon all was ready. No sooner had the guard blown his whistle, Nigel gave an almighty heave. Gordon was taken by surprise. The entire train was forced out of the station. Nigel surged forwards. The noise was deafening. Gordon couldn't keep up. Everyone watched in astonishment as Nigel rocketed the express out of the station. At last, the little engine eased off, and Gordon panted away. He hadn't expected that from Nigel at all. Well, you did say you wanted a swift departure, he called smugly. That evening, before Nigel left for the sheds, the Fat Controller came to see him. It has come to my attention that the bigger engines have been getting too big for their buffers, he said knowingly. It's all right, sir, chuckled Nigel. I don't think I'll be getting any more hassle from them now. Indeed. Well, I'm pleased to see you stand on your own 6 wheels. Let's not try and inconvenience the passengers any further in future, winked the Fat Controller. Nigel completely understood. When Nigel finally arrived back, he could hear the other engines talking. Well, 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 teased Boko. Who'd have thought 3 big engines would be put in their places from one so small? A shunter he may be, but simple he is not, said Duck. Gordon, Henry and James remained respectfully silent.